Hello everybody and welcome to this Farnham Health and Wellness Talk with Nicole. We're speaking about EFT today. So Nicole, do you want to give us a bit of an overview on EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, what it's all about, what you use it for, how it can help us?
Absolutely, yes. So
and introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'll introduce myself first. So I'm Nicole Horstead. I live and work in Godalming, and I'm a holistic therapist. I practice EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Techniques, or tapping, as a lot of people know it by, particularly if you live in America. They all call it tapping there. And it actually is what it sounds like. It's tapping certain specific meridian points on the body to help with emotions, negative thoughts, negative feelings. And that's what we're talking about today. I actually use EFT alongside other therapies as well. I've been interested in health and healing for over 20 years now. So my original training was in homeopathy, and I practiced as a homeopath for several years. And then I discovered EFT. I went on I think it was a weekend seminar, and just absolutely loved it. So I couldn't not use it from then on. Even with my homeopathic clients would come, they would get tapped on, because I just could not do it. I loved it so much. It was fun and it works. I mean, it's such an easy technique, fabulous for stress release, and a myriad of other issues. So I use that with the homeopathy still. Homeopathy is not my primary therapy now, but I practice NLP, which is Neuro Linguistic Programming. I use a bit of coaching, a bit of hypnotherapy sometimes with it, but it's all held together with the EFT tapping. And then if a remedy comes up and a client wants it, then they can take a remedy home too. So that's how it works, how I do it. Today we're just going to talk about the EFT, because the other techniques are a bit more complex and you'd need to see a therapist for that. But EFT is so amazing because you have everything you need in your hands, and you only need to use your mouth and your hands and your body. And so it's a fabulous self-help tool. If it's a complex issue, you can see a therapist, but you can tap on anything and everything, anything that brings you stress, any issues in your life, and it's all in your fingertips. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think we're going to do a practical demonstration, aren't we? But where I've really heard of EFT being recommended is in a book called The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk, and he works with severe trauma, as I think you know, Nicole, and he really recommends EFT tapping in his book, along with a whole lot of other therapies, like you've said, but highly recommends tapping for severe trauma. So to think that it can help with something as severe as that just would give, you know, reason to believe you when you say how amazing it is for our everyday lives as well. What kind of thing do you think people can use it for, really, you know, like right now in the moment, the current time that we're going through?
Well, I mean, I've sort of explained how we'll deal with a bit of stress today, because everybody suffers from stress. Even those of us who think we're very relaxed, calm people, there's always something that will trigger a stress response in us. But with the current climate in the world, you know, there's a pandemic of stress to go along with the COVID pandemic, and it's, you know, everyone perceives their stress differently. So it might be stress from, you know, actually worrying about the disease. It might be stress from not seeing loved ones in care homes or friends. It might be stress worrying about the children. It might be the claustrophobia of not being able to go out and enjoy life or travel. It's all these things that we love about our lives that we don't have access to anymore. Yeah, it could be a myriad of things. Even an argument with our partner, or having to homeschool our children, or having to manage a work call alongside a child in the background who's not at school. So really, yes, it can be used for very complex issues, anxiety, PTSD, with a qualified therapist, but and there's good research to back those up as well, fantastic research. They've even done studies on cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, where they took a group of people, measured their levels of cortisol in their blood before tapping, did an hour of tapping, measured it again and showed that it had significantly reduced. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things. Exam stress, we could use it with. I've had clients where I've tapped on children with exam stress. I've worked with people that have fear of flying. That's a very, very common one. Spider phobias. I knew somebody who came to see me who had a car accident and couldn't get behind the wheel again. So we worked on that. It's like how it works really in essence is, we believe any negative thought, emotion, event, experience, memory creates a blockage in the body's energy system, stops the energy from flowing freely. And by tuning into the issue at the same time as tapping these particular meridian points that Chinese acupuncturists or acupressurists might use, discharges that stress response. And yeah, at first, when I first started my training, it was all anecdotal. We just knew it worked, so we did it. We didn't really understand why, but it's fantastic now. There's studies that have been funded to back up what it's really doing, which is great. We don't need it, we know it works, but it's always nice to have some science to support it as well.
It's really amazing. And you mentioned children, so I guess that today we're going to learn the kind of the rhythm or the routine. What do you call it? The pattern?
Well, no, we're going to do a shortcut pattern. So there's lots of specific points that we use, mainly around the phase. Well, I'll do one under here if you can see under my arm. There's finger points as well that I would use if a client came to see me. And anyone who's watching, I'm very happy to share a diagram afterwards if they email me, which will have all the points on. So if you can't remember them afterwards. But today we're not going to use the finger points. It's difficult for me to show my hand. So we're just going to use a shortcut, just one finger point here on the back of the hand, and then we'll go around the face at the points I'm touching now. And this is what we call an EFT shortcut. There's more to it, but this is all you need when using it at home. And to be honest, if you forget all of that and you remember one point, like this is a great one, then you can do it all just with this one point. You just tune into the stress and you tap this point. We're going to say some language with it, so it'd be great if you could follow what I'm saying, Juliet, and then people listening at home can then repeat as well.
And then when we've got this nailed, all of us watching and listening, will we be able to use this? Is this something you can use with your children? So could you, if you have a child that's feeling particularly overwhelmed, perhaps with the situation they find themselves in at the moment?
Absolutely, it's fantastic with children. Absolutely fantastic with children. I've got 3 children. They all use it. Sometimes they don't really want to, and I'll suggest just tap. They only have to pick one point sometimes, or sometimes they'll let me tap on them, which is great. So they've grown up with it really, and mummy and her crazy tapping. But I've had child clients, and they are so open. When you talk to an adult and you do it with an adult, it feels a bit strange. We say some words that feel a bit odd. But children are just so open, they just take it and run. So the results with children are fantastic. And because their analytical mind doesn't really get in the way, and why this is weird or this doesn't work, it just does. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, children not at school with their friends at the moment, or not meeting in their groups, they're missing their sports. It's a very difficult time for children. It's a very difficult time for all of us, but especially children who need to be with other children. So it's a great tool to use just with whatever's coming up for them. I mean, all you need to say to them is, how do you feel? And they'll say, sad. You go with that. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling sad. It's that simple. Just keep going through it. And yeah, so please, yes, use with children, use on yourselves, use, you know, if you don't want to be doing this in public because you're on a bus or a train, and you can use finger points. We've got little points on the end of our fingers that you can use, or you can discreetly just do this. I often would just do this. it's strange actually, when you do it, you see other people doing it around you.
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before, sometimes your children let you tap on them. Is it more, does it work better if someone else does it to you? Or is there any difference between doing it yourself or someone doing it to you?
Well, if you came and saw me as a client, I would tap generally. Well, I wouldn't at the moment because of COVID, and we don't need to. But generally before COVID, and I'm working online a lot now, so it's a slightly different. But I would always choose to tap on my client because they're not having to remember where to put their hands, which is nice for them. They can just be in their thoughts. But it's just as effective. Lots of therapists tap on themselves, and their client follows them. So yes, it doesn't matter, you can do it on yourself or you can let someone do it on you. With children, it's nice to tap on the points because some younger children especially, they don't know where they are. Older children, my son's 11, he can, follow along with me or just choose one point often. He'll just choose that one sometimes. I have a bear in my practice room actually over there, but for very young children, we tap on a bear. They might not want to do this on their body, so we've got Tappy Bear and we say he's feeling sad or he misses his friends, and we tap the little points on the bear. It works just as effectively when they do that too. It's quite incredible.
And do the different points do they refer to different emotions or different parts of the body or different thoughts? Is there anything?
Yeah, they respond to the Chinese system, meridian system. So they're different points. There's a stomach point, a liver point. We don't need to know that to make it work effectively. We just know that these are quite strong, powerful meridian points. So, and it's where an acupuncturist might pop a needle if they wanted to clear an energy blockage. So that's what they refer to, the sort of the ancient Chinese system. But they're all over our body. They're on our legs. They're all over our body. So we use the ones that are easy to get to, really, without removing any clothing. So.
Okay, that's very interesting. And are those the same points as acupuncture points?
Yes, so we're calling them acupressure points because we're touching them, we're not inserting a needle, but yes, they're similar points to an acupuncturist would insert a needle. Absolutely.
Okay, so are we going to do a bit of a demonstration?
Yeah, let's do a demo. So what we're going to do is a technique called constricted breathing technique, which is a really simple, easy technique that anyone can use at home. I like this technique to demonstrate because it clearly demonstrates that what we're doing and tapping has a physical effect, which is great because, with complementary therapies, our thoughts, our attitudes, our emotions, are all connected to our physiology as well, even though we're not aware of that. Every negative emotion, experience, thought, memory has an effect on the body somewhere. Often we're completely unconscious to that. So this is a really nice one for tapping and then feeling the physical difference afterwards. And it's also a great one. You can wake up in the morning and just do this every day because we're all carrying a certain amount of stress, even if it's a small amount of stress, even when we wake up in the morning and we remember what we have to do that day, or we remember we're in lockdown, that will bring up something for most people that's a stressful feeling. So it's a great one to do as a routine in the morning. It only takes a few minutes, and it should open our lungs up and relax us, release some stress in our breathing, which is where we hold a lot of stress actually. It's in the fight or flight response, it primarily affects lots of areas of our body, but primarily our breathing, which becomes shallow.
Absolutely. And doing it in the morning, or doing it any time, but doing it in the morning like that, it becomes does it become like a kind of meditation? It's that focused state?
Well, it can be. I mean, we can use tapping and meditation, put music to it if that's your practice. Absolutely, you can. I mean, it becomes, when I'm in a session with a client, it can be quite hypnotic because you get into a pattern with the points and your mind flows. So absolutely, you can use it. You can use it with any other rituals that you do. Absolutely, just bring it in.
Yeah,
or
brilliant.
You can just use it as a quick, before my cup of coffee, I'm just going to get myself centered and relax for the day. So
yeah, Brilliant.
Okay, so I'm going to show you that the first point we use is actually, can you see my hand? Yeah.
I can see your hand, yes. So
okay, so we call it the karate chop point, which is here. So as if you were chopping a pile of wood, you'd use this point here. And this is our setup point. So we tap this when we're setting up what we want to work on. We're mentally tuning into the issue. We're letting our body and our mind know what we're working on. So we tap this.
And is there a way that we should tap correctly, or?
No, it's just sort of in between where the fingers start and where the wrist starts. No, it's just like a rhythmic tapping.
With one finger on the other hand?
I'm using 2, you can use 1, you can use 3. It's very intuitive, just what works, but we're stimulating this point. And then if you could just repeat the words after me. If you're at home and you can't speak out loud, or you're on headphones, that's fine, you can just say them in your head. But it's really useful. It's nice to say the words out loud if you can. So we're just going to say, even though I have the, oh, sorry, we haven't actually set it up. So we need to do our breathing first.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I've gone ahead of myself.
That's okay.
So what we want to do is really, we want to demonstrate it works. We want to measure our fullest breath before we start. We're going to be tapping on our breath, and then hopefully at the end we'll have a deeper breath than we started with. That's the idea. Okay. So what we're going to do first before we start our tapping is we're just going to take a really deep breath in and then release. That's right. And then another really deep breath in. And then release. That's it. And one more really deep breath in. Take it right down to as far as you can in your lungs and release. And then on this breath, we've just stretched our lungs out then. This breath, we're going to actually rate it on a scale of 0 to 10 of how deep a breath we can take. So 0 would be a very, very shallow breath, and 10 would be our deepest breath that we believe we can take. Okay?
Okay.
So again, deep breath in. Okay, so Juliet, what would your number be, 0 to 10?
It was pretty good after those 3 deep breaths we just took. It was deeper than them. I would say maybe an 8.
That's great. So you're starting in pretty relaxed state anyway. If you just had a stressful experience or a bit of bad news, you'd probably find you were on a 3 or 4 or something.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, and those tapping along at home, you know, listening at home, you could just do the same, jot it down or just remember that. Okay, so we know we're starting. Mine was about 7. Okay, so now we're going to get our karate chop point and we're going to tap. Okay, so even though I have this constricted breathing.
I have this constricted breathing.
I can't take my fullest breath.
I can't take my fullest breath.
I'm deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Love and accept myself anyway.
Okay, so that's our setup phase. Just keep tapping. And we always say something similar to these words when we're setting up. It's basically telling our body and our mind that we have this issue, but it's okay. When we're working with the children, we don't need to say I completely, deeply love and accept myself. We could just say, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I like to use those words because they're powerful words anyway. And they're acknowledging, yes, I'm okay, even though I have this problem. Okay, so we're going to go back to it. So even though I have this constricted breathing.
I have this constricted breathing.
Something's blocking my breath.
Something is blocking my breath.
Something's getting in the way of my fullest breath.
Something is getting in the way of my fullest breath.
And I deeply and completely love and accept who I am.
Love and accept who I am.
And how I feel.
And how I feel.
And we say it one more time. Even though I have this constricted breathing.
I have this constricted breathing.
Something's blocking my fullest breath.
Something is blocking my fullest breath.
And I deeply and completely
and I deeply and completely
love and accept who I am and how I feel. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next point, which we call the eyebrow point. So just at the start of the eyebrow, now the inside of the eye, that's it. This constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing.
And then we move to the end of the eyebrow. We call this side of the eye. It's just where the eyebrow ends and the side of the eye. And we say again, this constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing.
Something's blocking my fullest breath.
Something is blocking my fullest breath.
Okay, then we go under the eye, which is there's a little bone just under the eye. That's it. You've got the right point there. This constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing
is blocked my fullest breath.
Has blocked my fullest breath.
And then we go under the nose. So above the top lip and under the nose. That's it. This constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing.
Is blocked my fullest breath.
Blocked my fullest breath.
Something's constricting my breathing.
Something is constricting my breathing.
Okay, then we go on to the chin point. She's just under the bottom lip. This constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing.
It's getting in the way of my fullest breath.
Getting in the way of my fullest breath.
Now, I don't know if you just saw me, but as I was tapping, I took a deep breath, then I felt a shift. So my breath's releasing already, yeah. I can't stop needing to yawn, which is obviously a really full breath when you yawn. No, a yawn doesn't mean you're tired. It's just a shift of energy as well. So that's an energy discharge.
That's what it very much feels like, yeah. And funnily enough, sorry, am I supposed to talk when I'm doing this?
You can, and I'm going to move you just to this point so your mouth is freer. So it's where you'd knot a tie, you can use 2 or 3 fingers, so just in the middle of the collarbone here, where you'd knot a tie. And then you can keep tapping there while you're talking. It's easier than covering your mouth.
Okay, so I'm in some hypnotherapy groups, and someone had posted a question yesterday saying that she has a client that whenever she works with this particular client, they yawn continuously. And there were many comments saying that this is a great sign, exactly like you say, the sign, a sign of an energy shift. And so, yeah, I'm very happy to be needing to yawn. And it's also a sign to me that my body is taking some deep breaths, because I find you don't get a much deeper breath than a yawn.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can probably feel, maybe I can feel my shoulders relaxing already. I mean, I wasn't particularly anxious before, but yeah, no, it's lovely to feel it working, isn't it? Feel the effects.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this is what we call the collarbone point that we're tapping on now. So we'll just go back to it. This constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing.
Something is getting in the way of my fullest breath.
Something is getting in the way of my fullest breath. Okay,
so we move under the arm. This is a tricky one probably to see, but it's, if you're a woman, it's where your bra strap would go round. It's about 4 inches below the armpit there. So we just tap on that point there. This constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing.
Okay, and then we move up and we finish this round on the top of the head, right in the center of the top of the head, if you can see. This constricted breathing.
This constricted breathing.
This block to my fullest breath.
This block to my fullest breath.
Okay, so as we said, we've released a bit of stress and tension anyway, but we're just going to do one more round. So we're going to go back to the eyebrow point again. This remaining constricted breathing. This remaining constricted breathing. And then to the outside side of the eye. This remaining block to my fullest breath. This remaining block to my fullest breath. And then under the eye. This remaining block to my deepest breath. This remaining block to my deepest breath. Under the nose. This remaining constricted breathing. This remaining constricted breathing. That's right. And the chin point. This remaining something blocking my breathing. This remaining something blocking my breathing. collarbone point, sorry. This remaining constricted breathing.
This remaining constricted breathing.
This remaining something still blocking.
This remaining something still blocking.
Under the arm point. Let's see if you can see it if I do that. This remaining.
I can see that.
Breathing.
This remaining constricted breathing.
Top of the head. This remaining block to my fullest breath.
This remaining block to my fullest breath.
Okay, so take a really deep breath in.
Big yawn.
And relax. Okay, so now we're going to test it, what we've done by taking a deepest breath that we can take now, and we're going to rate it on a scale of 0 to 10 again, 0 being very shallow and 10 being the fullest breath we feel we could take. What would you say you are?
Well, definitely a 9 or 10. I don't know if I could take fuller, but well, maybe the yawning. And in the last 2 tapping points of the last round, I felt almost like I didn't need to yawn anymore. You know, like you say, an energy shift. That was really good, taking all of those deep breaths throughout, and then. Yeah, I certainly feel a deeper breath just now than I felt when we first started. And also very, very relaxing doing the tapping.
Yes, it is relaxing. And do you see what I mean by now when I say it's quite hypnotic in a way as well?
Absolutely.
Especially with the language we're using and the repetition. That's an easy technique that you could use at home.
Yeah.
And it's a nice one because it demonstrates the physical relationship with our language and our stress, our emotions as well, which is nice. And
is there something, if you were to use this every morning as part of your morning routine, or morning, I don't like the word routine, morning kind of rhythm, is there a different mantra you might use with it?
Well, I mean, you could see that you shifted quite early on. So firstly, you might not have had to do that second round where we said this remaining. Sometimes it's nice to do a second round and clear up. But if it was quicker and you took that breath, you felt that yawn and that shift, you could even stop there. You can use any words you want. We were using constricted breathing because it's quite global and general, and we're not sure who's listening and what's going on, but you have your specific things going on. You might not even want to use constricted breathing. You could start with constricted breathing, and then you could say, even though I have this constricted breathing and I feel really stressed, I feel really anxious, I'm worried about today. You put your own words in. I'm always using the client's own words. We don't have, I mean, you're tapping along, but we don't have a client's issue with us right now. We're not working on. So normally I wouldn't be using a common language. If I was working with a client, we'd be exactly repeating back what that client says. So you can do that on your own. So whatever comes up, and if you're tapping and you're here and you're saying, I'm feeling a bit stressed, and you get an aha moment, which often happens, this stress, or this anger, I'm feeling so angry about this issue. As you're tapping, thoughts will come into your head and you'll be thinking, oh, that's where it's from, or that's what it's linked to. And you just go with it. You just keep going with the rhythm, and you provide the words yourself, which is the beauty of this. You can substitute any words that mean something to you. So even if you give it a colour and you don't know what you're feeling, but you know it's red, for example, this redness, where is it in your body? It's stuck in my stomach. Yeah, it might be this red anger in my stomach, I mean, it's lovely to do the setup phase in the first. Even though I'm feeling angry, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. we do that 3 times. It's really nice to do that, but if you're in a moment where you're feeling very anxious or stressed or very angry, or something's triggered you, maybe you've switched the news on and you feel really worried about what you're seeing, then you can just go with it then. You don't need to set up, because your body knows it's tuned into your anger, you know you're feeling it, so you just go with whatever point.
Yeah.
Anger.
Yeah. And do you often see a big emotional release? Would we expect that?
Oh well, in a setting with clients, there's always a box of tissues at the side, and I've had very few clients who haven't needed them, but it's always when it releases, it's a positive. It might not feel like that for you at home when you're working. It's different when you're working one-on-one with the client, because usually there's a bigger issue as to why you're going. If you're just feeling just a bit out of sorts, you might not necessarily get an emotional release like tears. You'll always usually feel better at the end of it, whether you've had a cry or you just feel calmer. Occasionally it might feel like very occasionally, if you feel worse after it, that's just because you've come across an issue. It's just because doing this has brought something up, but generally you're going to get a nice positive response by feeling better. And if you do bring an issue up, that's a gift, because you just jot that one down and you say, that's something I need to work on, either on your own or with a professional. So
absolutely. And so I think this is such a practical thing for people to use at home. When I kind of said about using it alongside or instead of meditation in the morning, I think it's really highly recommended that people meditate every morning. You know, some of the most successful people really do. They're up at 4 a.m. Who is it? One highly successful person goes to bed 7 p.m. He's up at 2:30 a.m. Excuse me. But to do
that's you, isn't it?
No, I'm much later. Not 2 a.m. But these people are, and they're packing in 2 hours of meditation in the morning, which is amazing for our minds and our bodies. However, there are some people who just don't feel that they have the ability to be still for that amount of time, or to do it themselves, almost to get into that focus state themselves, and they can't always find the guided thing that's right for them. But having this, it's proactive, it's doing something. It feels like you're actually achieving something. So maybe this is for people who can't quite get into the meditation, but could do something like this every morning. It's just a quick little exercise that they could do, and I think that's really brilliant, especially in our current climate. But at what point do you feel someone needs to, or someone you would say to someone, maybe you should actually take that to someone like yourself and actually speak to someone qualified to help you progress that little bit further?
Okay, well, just going back quickly to what you were saying about meditation. Yeah, some people do find it very, very difficult to meditate, to clear their mind. And you could either do this instead, or if you are a meditator and you've just got something on your mind that's stopping you from getting into that deeper state, you could do a few minutes of tapping beforehand. So it's really useful then. You want to sit down, but there's just something. A couple of minutes of tapping, even though I have this annoying thing in my mind, or that person said this yesterday and it's just still bothering me. I deeply and completely love and accept myself, and a few rounds on how you're feeling. They really upset me, or that can actually clear that as well, so to help you go into meditation easier. So it's really, really useful for that too. But going back to your question, I think most people generally know where their own abilities and skills end with their own issues. So general everyday to-day stuff, absolutely. And if you feel that you've done a lot of personal development work or a lot of therapy work, and you feel that you can go deeper with your EFT into past memories, childhood memories. Sometimes we call it the writing on the wall, and that's all the attitudes, beliefs about ourselves we've picked up from childhood. But so many of those are unconscious actually. And whilst we can do a lot ourselves, sometimes we're just stuck. or with an issue, and that's when it's good to go and get help, because having another person not only mirroring but asking you you know, specific questions, like coaching questions in a way, can really get you to much deeper parts and those aha moments of where things have come from and where patterns of behavior and beliefs and our attitudes have come from, and when we made those beliefs, because we make a belief up at some point in our life and we start to believe it. So it's very powerful work once you get into it. I mean, again, you can use other modes of therapy. You can use psychotherapy, but it's a different technique, and it's very effective and very easy in a way to work on simple issues. And it also takes that, it's very empowering for a person to have those skills themselves without having to go necessarily and pay to see somebody.
And is the beauty of EFT that you don't have to talk about it?
Yeah, you don't have to talk about it. Like I said, sometimes there's no language, and we can give it colours or feelings, or, you know, even this stuckness or this blackness, or we don't have to name names. So it can, I mean, often it comes out someone feels safe enough in a session to go into what it is, or sometimes they just don't know what you know, what the problem is or where it came from. They just know how it feels.
Yeah, and you know, going back to trauma again, because, you know, I know that I've learned that with trauma, people that were experienced trauma in childhood often actually as an adult can't put that into words. It's not even that they don't feel safe or they don't want to, it's that the brain doesn't have that ability to put those, you know, it's just overwhelming feelings. And so it's all very well going for psychotherapy or, you know, that kind of talking therapy, but if you cannot put those feelings into words, then I can see why something like this would be so powerful, because whilst I'm sure in some situations it's fantastic if you can speak about it, being able to use this powerful technique without needing to speak, really delve into it, is just really beneficial. Yes,
and we could give it a shape, for example. Can you give it a shape? Especially things that have happened early on in childhood. A person might be stuck, you know, with that particular issue or memory or problem. They might be stuck in a pre-verbal age, or but a colour or a shape or a feeling. We could go with that. I mean, you can, as long as the label, whether it's a word, a shape, a colour, whatever you give it, has the energy of the feeling, the memory, the issue, whatever it is in it, it will work. That's why we use words. We only use the words to tune into the feeling of, for example, the anger or the fear. Once we've got that feeling, the tapping releases it. So that's why we use the words. They're the label to the feeling. But yes, and some people struggle with words, but they can move shapes or colours. So absolutely, it's such a versatile technique. You play with it, really. I think that's why I loved it so much when I found it, because it's fun, and you can use it any way. You can play with it and just have fun, be creative with it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've just taken another deep breath.
Good.
I'll let you know. I'm still breathing even more deeply here now. So we're running out of time. But are there any kind of words of wisdom to leave us with before we sign off and say goodbye?
Well, how long do we have left? I was wondering, we could do a very sort of quick few minutes tapping on stress.
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, should we do that? And then maybe do we have till 8 o'clock? Yeah.
Well, we have till 7:40, but we can go on. That's fine.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just do it fairly quickly and briefly. You know, I know you're very relaxed and you've got your deepest breath, but there might be somebody at home listening that's still feeling a bit stressed. So.
No, I'm very happy to do this.
Great. Okay, so we're going to start again with our karate chop point. So even though I'm feeling stressed right now. And just a point, if you're at home and you're not feeling stressed, you might be feeling something else. Just substitute the word. Okay. I have this stress.
I have this stress.
These worries.
These worries.
And I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
And I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Even though
I'm
feeling stressed right now.
I'm feeling stressed right now.
I'm feeling anxious.
I'm feeling anxious.
I'm feeling worried.
I'm feeling worried.
And I deeply and completely love and accept who I am.
Love and accept who I am.
And how I feel.
And how I feel.
Even though I'm feeling stressed and worried.
I'm feeling stressed and worried.
All these feelings. Stuck inside me. And I deeply and completely. Love and accept myself anyway. Okay, eyebrow point. All these worries. Outside of the eye. All this stress. Under the eye. All this overwhelm. Under the nose. I'm feeling really stressed. Chin point. I'm feeling really tense right now. Collarbone point. I feel it in my muscles. Under the arm. I feel it in my chest. Top of the head. I feel it in my stomach. And I feel it in my head. Eyebrow point again. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm stressed out right now. Under the eye. What if I could let some of this go? Under the nose. Well, I wonder what that would feel like. Chin point. I wonder if it would feel safe to let this go. Collarbone point. No, maybe I'll just keep my stress. Maybe I'll just hang on to it. Under the arm. But I do love feeling calm. Maybe if I just swapped a bit of this stress for some calmness. Top of the head. Maybe if I just allowed some peace to creep into my body. Okay. Eyebrow point. Peace in my head. Outside of the eye. Peace in my chest. Under the eye. Peace in my stomach. Under the nose. Peace in my muscles. Chin point. All the stress in my mind and body. I choose to let it go now. Collarbone point. I choose to release my stress now. Under the arm. I choose to relax and take a deep breath now. Top of the head. I choose peace.
And calm. Now.
Okay. I take a deep breath in. And release.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm feeling relaxed.
I'm just wondering if I should become an EFT practitioner. All that relaxation time, all that de-stressing.
Well, actually, what I find working with a client is fabulous. You get the benefits yourself because you're in the energy flow with them. So I never feel drained after seeing a client because the energy, I feel I'm shifting the energy too. So and you know, sometimes we have fun with it as well. We can laugh. There's some humor. There's actually one of the most powerful components really to break down a serious issue is humor, because if you can laugh at a problem, then it feels so much less. So that's we try to use as much humor as possible in working with clients. So
it's brilliant. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for
We've come to the end of our time, so we'll say goodbye and thank you. And this will go up on YouTube with your email address. And you said people can email you
Yes, I'm happy for, I'm working on a website at the moment which is not finished, but if people would like to email me, I can share a diagram of those points that we've used, and just the little setup phrases that we've used. So or they can just Google EFT tapping points and print one off. I mean, there's so much EFT online, so there's some great websites. Just look up EFT. There's also, actually, something I wanted to share. There's a tapping summit. There's a man called Nick Ortner in the United States, and every year he does a tapping summit which goes on for about a week, and that's coming up, I've written it down, 22nd of Feb to the 3rd of March, and it's free to join, and you can just tap along with they have different speakers and EFT practitioners working on different subjects, so you can tap along with them. TappingSolution.com. So if you go,
that's amazing. Thank you. That's really useful. I don't know if you saw, but Sharon's just said thank you.
Oh, great.
Very useful. So that's great. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye now. Bye.